What's happening, Auxly traders and investors? It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Monday, June 27th. Happy Monday. Hope you're well today, and I hope you had a great weekend as well. In this short video, going to be discussing the stock Auxly. Getting a lot of requests about this one to do an update. I wanted to give my thoughts and opinions. We'll look at some technical analysis and what the charts are saying. But essentially, there is a weekly bear flag that's confirming, and that just means that we could see more downside. I'll give my target for that weekly bear flag here in a moment. Before we get to it though, if you could smash the like, it helps support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell to be notified on any future videos. Diving into the Auxly chart. So the first thing I've already mentioned is we're confirming a weekly bear flag. A weekly bear flag just means when we bounce on the weekly time frame and we don't bounce, we don't see a huge bounce, and we don't get over that 0.32 fib level, anything under 13.5 cents, that 0.32 was a potential for a weekly bear flag. And we had the high at 17.5 cents, the low of the pullback at 11 cents. And then we started the weekly bounce. We get as high as 13 cents. And then once we lost support at 11 cents, that confirmed the weekly bear flag. And the target of this weekly bear flag, I drew it out for you. You can see here in this dotted line, we're targeting 8 cents on Auxly. We did hit a low of 8.5 cents today. So just questioning how much more downside we're really going to see from here. It does look like downside could be limited, but again, targeting that 8 cent area, and we could potentially see some weakness in the S&P 500 tomorrow, which would be headwinds in the MJ market and could result in more weakness in the MJ space as well. So again, I'm going to be looking at, I've already added this one to my MJ portfolio. It's one of my smaller positions in my MJ portfolio. Probably about 5% of my MJ portfolio is in Auxly. But I'm going to be looking at adding this one probably tomorrow. I'll add, again, I want to see how SPY reacts tomorrow. If we finally see daily consolidation, we haven't consolidated, just means we haven't lost the low of the previous daily candle on the S&P 500 now in 6 days. So one would think that we're likely going to pull back and form a daily higher low. We still haven't confirmed a daily uptrend yet either. So we need to come down, form a higher low and a higher high. And I do think that tomorrow we could see that potential daily consolidation and pull back on SPY, which would result in weakness in the MJ space. And then, like I said, we could see that target of about 8 cents on Auxly. I do think that Auxly is a great long-term hold and pick up at these levels. Not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only, of course, as always. But again, this is a name that I have in my portfolio. I'm extremely bullish on. It's one of the tier 2, so you know it's an up-and-coming MJ play, and I do think that they have a lot of prospects. There's a lot of potential here for Auxly to become, maybe one of the tier 1s here in Canada, and a lot of really great products, just not getting spared with the rest of the market, right? Everything down 80 to 90% across the board. And if we take a look back from the highs of February 2021, we're now down about 83%. Right now in MJ, both American and Canadian, the average is down 80 to 90% from February 2021 highs. Again, we could see more downside with not yet hitting a monthly oversold here on the RSI as well. But realistically, if you didn't know anything about charting or technical analysis, when you buy, when there's monthly oversold on the RSI, and when there's overbought on the RSI, you sell. You do a lot better than 95% of people and retail investors out there. It's a lot easier said than done to buy low and sell high, right? Because we know that emotions are at its peak, and the media has a role to play as well, right? It plays all these FUD, so fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And when we run to the upside, we get all these FOMO articles, right? Fear of missing out. So they tell you that it's going to 100, and everybody gets euphoric and just wants to ride the wave, right? And they don't want to lock in profits. And then they end up buying high and then selling the bottom, right? It's kind of the opposite of what we should be doing. But on the monthly time frame, like I said, not yet oversold on the weekly time frame as well. We're in a weekly downtrend and a monthly downtrend. On the daily time frame, we're also in a daily downtrend as well. So there's a lot of work to do right now in terms of Auxly, but we do have a lack of resistance on the daily time frame up to about 13 cents. So from the low there, you're looking at about a move of 53% and still just being scouting a daily lower high and being in a daily downtrend. So it's likely going to be weeks and months before we really see a turnaround in the MJ space. Again, could see daily consolidation on SPY tomorrow, which would mean headwinds for MJ, and we could see that target of the weekly bear flag on Auxly met tomorrow at 8 cents. We do have earnings as well coming up in the third week of August, so that'll be something to be watching out for. There could be some turbulence leading into that, and we know that the whole MJ space right now is basically dead in the water, right? We know that there's tons of fundamental changes that are going on in the background, but it's just not a factor right now. We know that even companies with strong fundamentals, strong numbers, financials, quarterly reports, we got Canara and High Tide here in Canada. In the US, you got Trulieve and GTII. They're just not seeing the fundamentals shine through, right? And that is because the whole market is in a bear market, and HMMJ is showing some relative strength here compared to MSOS, the ETFs, and we're seeing Canadian MJ perform a little bit better here, at least in the short term. And that, in my opinion, is because we've been beaten down more. But we know that the weekly bounce is underway here on HMMJ, and we need to change the weekly trend and monthly trend back to an uptrend before we can call a bear market bottom, right? So we've got months ahead of work to do, and the burden of proof right now is on the bulls. We could see some momentum pickup, bullish momentum pickup into the fall and into the midterms. We know that the Senate is controlled by Democrats, but it's possible that they may lose the Senate or even the House. So there's been reports that the Dems are going to make a push for at least some form of reform, whether it be safe banking, something small like that, maybe not full-blown legalization, but they're talking about how the Democrats may look to push through a comprehensive safe banking type of reform bill, and that could ignite the sector, right? We know we need a sector-wide catalyst that's going to lift us out of this rut that we're in, and right now we're extremely bearish, but we are starting the weekly bounce, and typically we do see a summer lull, so just be on the lookout for more downside and a drop of activity and interest into the summer on MJ. And then I think that leading into the fall, we're really going to start to see things pick up. In terms of the weekly chart, we do have the 10-week moving average there at 13 cents as well. So that was our previous weekly lower high. That's our daily resistance. So that's the level of resistance to be watching in the short term. If we take a look at the 50-day moving average, it's also at 13 cents. So I think 13 cents is going to be very, very strong resistance. And once we get back over 13 cents, we could see a pretty big move and a fast reversal, in my opinion. We did have a bear cross of these weekly moving averages, which is pretty bearish, and that occurred back here when we were at about 75 cents. And then here we are dropping below 10 cents as a result of that bear cross. We also had a death cross on Auxly back here in July of 2021. Pretty much all MJ did. And that just means the 50-day moving average crosses down through the 200-day moving average. And that happened back when the price was at around 30 cents. And here we are down over 50% just from that warning sign and signal alone. But again, targeting 8 cents on Auxly with this weekly bear flag. So I do think that downside from here is going to be limited. If you are looking at a long-term entry, I think that anywhere around these levels is a great time to pick up Auxly. I've got an average of about 14 cents on Auxly, so I'll try to drop that down to about 12 cents tomorrow. Going to end it there, though. Thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. If you could smash the like on your way out, I would appreciate it. Tick the bell, you'll be notified on any future updates. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next video.